Hey YouTube, so today we're going to be looking at one of my older videos that I made a few years back, and I didn't have the equipment that I had now, so I wanted to do a little bit of updating. It's a really good video, and I wanted to tie it in with this unit that we're doing on line with, because it's a great way to use line to create value. In the other videos we did patterns and we did textures and stuff, but we can use lines to create values, and in this particular video we're using the method of cross-hatching. And as I mentioned, this is a hidden image, or hidden message, excuse me, a hidden message within the tree, and you can customize this for anybody you like, with positive messages, or maybe you want to do a personalized name. It's a really good project to do and give to somebody special in your life. If you like what you're seeing, please leave me a comment below. Let me know what you think, or if there's something that you would like to see. Don't forget to subscribe and share. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Alright, let's go ahead and get started with this hidden message. You want to start by using a pencil to lightly sketch in your message. Here you want to play around with the different font styles, with the different sizes and locations on the page. Take your time when you do this, because this is what we're going to be using to build our tree around. Before we start designing our tree, let's take a look at the anatomy of a deciduous tree. Let's start off with the trunk, which is usually the biggest part of the tree. You want to make sure that that's nice and strong. From the main trunk, you'll have limbs. And the limbs are a little bit smaller than the trunk, and they can grow in any direction. And then from these limbs come the branches. Just like the limbs, they can grow in any direction. And then finally, we have the twigs, which are the smallest parts of the tree. You'll notice that as these things get further and further away from the trunk, they get smaller and smaller. So let's take advantage of these growing patterns as we design our tree. Use the way these branches and limbs and twigs grow to help you spell out your design. You'll have to be creative when you're doing this. It's kind of tricky. Make sure that you're using multiple branches and twigs to spell out each letter. You want to avoid using a single branch to create a total letter or a single letter. Be patient with this part. This can be a little tricky. It's important that you take the design beyond the letters. That'll make the tree look a little bit more natural. You want to continue this process until you get the layout of your design completely done in pencil. Take the time to make the adjustments now, as it will be much easier to do it in the pencil stage than it will be in the inking stage. Once you're satisfied with the design, then you're ready to move on to the inking stage. When you begin this process, you can use markers or pens or any type of ink. I like to use my pen and ink nib with some Black India ink. To make this easier, you want to break it down into steps. The first thing that you want to do is you want to outline your entire design to make it permanent, let the ink dry, and then rub out any pencil lines. Next, you want to establish a light source. Remember that the light source will tell you which parts of the tree will be highlighted, which parts will be in shadow, and everything in between are called midtones. We'll be using cross-hatching techniques to put in our shadows. If you need a refresher, please check out the video in the link above. Just like in our other video, you want to work in layers when you start your cross-hatching. Make sure that you complete each layer one at a time and allow the ink to dry before moving on to the next layer. Also, make sure that you're treating each part of the tree individually. The light is going to affect each part of the tree differently, So it makes sense for you to do one section at a time. When you do this first layer, think about where the shadows are going to be and make sure that you allow some of the white paper to show through with nothing on it. That will be your brightest area. So please do not cover up the entire tree. If you need to, you can map out the area using a pencil, just like we did in our other video when we did the practice, and label them 0 all the way to number 4. That'll help you keep track of where your layers are going to change. Once your first layer is done and completely dry, you're ready to move on to the second layer. The second layer goes on at approximately a 90-degree angle from the first layer, and you want to create a transition, so make sure that you're not covering the entire first layer. As before, make sure that you are treating each section of the tree individually. Keep your lines natural. Don't start in one spot and finish in the same spot every time. Make sure that you have a little bit of variety on the length of your lines. Remember that every time you add a new layer, it makes that little section a little bit darker. So what you're doing when you're doing your layering is you're controlling your shadows. Once the second layer is completely done and dry, you're ready to move on to the third layer. Again, you want to make sure that you're going in a brand new direction. So if the second layer was done at a 90-degree from the first layer, then the third layer should be at approximately a 45-degree. As before, make sure that you're not covering up the entire second layer, because you're trying to create a transition. You gradually want it to look like it's getting darker and darker every time that you put in a new layer. So from time to time, stop, hold your work away from you, and check to see how the transitions are going. Your fourth layer will be the darkest part of the tree. So you need to be very selective as to where this layer goes. You do not want the entire tree to get too dark on you. So pick and choose which areas are going to be darkest, where there's going to be cast shadows, and where you want additional contrast. Pay special attention to the message, the letters. Make sure that they stand out, because you want to be able to see them from a distance. If they're not strong enough, make whatever adjustments you need to in order to create stronger contrast. Here's a close-up of our message, and I'm going in and just making some minute changes to make sure that I have good solid contrast and that the message really stands out well. So we're almost done with this one. This is a great exercise to help you practice adding values to your drawings using the technique of cross-hatching. It's a great way to personalize artwork for somebody special. There's a lot of different types of designs that you can do with this. Different types of trees, different types of lettering, different types of fonts. So go at it. Get creative with it. Have a little fun with it. These projects are a lot of fun to make, and the people that you make them for are usually amazed that you can actually do this. Here's one that I made for a client featuring her name, and she was absolutely thrilled when she saw this. So I hope you give this a try. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And as always, thank you for watching.